Welcome to the Jet Set Hers podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jamie. We discuss travel, adventure, and everyday life. Listen with us and let's go somewhere.
Hi.
Yo, Jenny, what's up?
Not much. Welcome back, Dakota.
Hi. So glad to be back. Talk about traveling.
Dakota, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking one of my favorite fall beers since I have so many left over from all my Halloween movie fests. So this one is called Gourd's Gone Wild from Tampa Bay Brewing Company. It's a pumpkin ale. It's very smooth and vanilla-y. It is my favorite.
That one is delicious, and I have looked everywhere here, but we don't get it here. I tried, and I was like,
That's so sad.
I know.
That actually sounds good.
Oh, it's so good.
Gourd's Gone Wild. It's a cool name, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Jamie, what are you drinking?
I actually have another local beer, Coonan Brewery, Drippa. Stands for Double Rice IPA. It's one of my faves, top faves.
Drippa.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. It's like 9.5, so.
So, bye, Jamie.
A good Monday. Yeah. See ya. Good Monday podcast beer.
Right.
What about you, Jenny? What do you have?
So, mine fits our theme for today because I was doing all my research this morning, looking back, getting ready, and we're talking about our Ireland trip. So, I had to go buy some Guinness. So, I'm drinking a Guinness.
I feel like that's very fitting for this episode, so. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Sláinte. And that's the Irish, cheers.
Is it?
Yeah, sláinte.
I feel like you told me about a lot of these before the trip, but it was a couple years ago. Okay, so I've forgotten.
That's all right. For everyone that doesn't know, I work in an Irish pub, so.
Yeah. She works in an authentic Irish pub. I worked in a touristy kind of Irish pub.
They tried to steer away from your Irish theme, though, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as we moved in, it was like, that doesn't sail. Let's make daiquiris and burgers.
Yeah. No, yeah, ours, I work in one owned by a Dublin man. So
Cool.
I learned all these things.
So we've mentioned it before, but I had never been anywhere international until I saw Dakota go, which that's the story she told us about the last time she came on, was her first big international trip. So when we moved in together, she was like, we should go. And I saw her do it. And so I was like, financially, okay, let's try. So we started looking at tickets, but I don't think we bought any right away. It was just kind of like, well, that's not too bad. And make $500, $600 tickets. And then we finally found them. I think we paid $480 each.
Yeah, it was
the round
really
trip.
cheap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was flying into London, but going immediately over to Dublin. So it's kind of crazy how it's cheaper to fly to Dublin, even though you fly through London. I always thought that was super weird.
Yeah, but if you wanted to book a flight right into London, it was $100 more.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Right.
Wow.
So it was almost like the flight to Dublin was negative, but
That's a great price, though. Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's less than my Hawaii trip.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Yeah.
really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trip I talked about last time where I went 2 years prior, it was $200 more than what I paid. So it went down so much within the years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a great price.
So we booked our ticket. We were going to go May 8th through May 17th. And they always say May is a good time because it's not super busy. It's not summertime, but the weather's still a little bit better for you.
What's the weather like in May?
So we researched before we went, and it said the average was around, I believe it was 47 to 53 degrees Fahrenheit. We kind of got lucky. We had a couple days that were sunny and warm, but we also had days where we were wrapped up in scarves and jackets and gloves, and the locals thought we were crazy. But we were like, we're from Florida.
Yeah.
This is cold.
Right.
But that's the weather I want.
Right. And it did rain a little bit, but we didn't have bad luck with that. It wasn't super wet or humid.
No,
Just
it
a
didn't
little
rain
bit of
too
rain.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. May would be perfect.
So we booked our tickets and starting to get ready. It was Dakota's idea to look at travel backpacks. It's not anything I had ever researched or looked into, but since she had been before, she was like, it's just going to be a lot easier. She had borrowed one for her other trip. So she realized that it was easier.
Shout out to Connor. He lent me some REI backpack and it was so nice to carry that thing around. I couldn't find that exact one. I think they discontinued, so I had to join in on the hunt to find a really close replica.
Yeah, and since she had already been, she knew she wanted to spend more money on one, whereas I had never traveled with a backpack, so I wanted something cheaper. I didn't really care necessarily about long-term quality. So I ended up finding one on Amazon, and I actually still have it, and it's still in working condition. And I've used it probably on 4 or 5 trips now, and I only spent $40, and so I just wanted to give them a little shout out. But it's the Outdoor Master hiking backpack, and it's a 45 liter.
Damn.
So it wasn't anything too fancy, but it got the job done, and it's still a usable backpack. So definitely a good cheaper option. But then Dakota went, and we got her a nice fancy one.
Yeah, so we went back to REI and I found the Osprey like Fairview 40 liter backpack, which is a women's 40 liter. What I liked about the one I borrowed was that it opened like luggage. It didn't open like a top zip backpack. You can like unzip in a big U and lay it out flat and be able to see and access everything pretty easily, which is what I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
It has the waist strap, which helps keep all the weight off of your back and keeps you comfortable. And it was really good quality, and all the straps are really cushioned nicely. And I've used it for a few trips now, and it still looks brand new. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, in comparing the two side by side, you definitely see why you pay. Like, how much did you pay for yours? Do you remember?
I think it was like $160, so it's not even that bad for like a high quality backpack.
So like she said, like you can unzip it all the way like a suitcase, whereas mine, you pretty much have to take everything out and then put everything back in to get to anything in the bottom. And then with hers, like if you put hers on compared to the one I had on, you definitely feel different in like she was saying, like the comfort of the straps and even the lightness of the backpack, which helps when you're flying airlines that measure and weigh your bags. So something to think about.
Yeah, if you look into the backpack, the Fairview 40 liter, the women's one, it's completely like travel compatible. So it's like carry on compatible. So it's all the right measurements. And I get through security easily. No one ever questions it. It even has like the little airline ticket on it. Like, this is a good carry-on size.
Nice.
Yep. The one I bought did say carry-on too.
To look into some of those.
Yeah.
I need a really good backpack like that.
It's so much easier, especially like if you're going to Europe or something where you're like, go, go, go. Right. It's so much easier just to have it on your back than like wheeling
your
like
stuff
luggage around.
Yeah.
And then we just bought a bunch of other stuff. Like it was her idea to bring a large scarf, and not only to wear it as a scarf, but also in hostels, you can kind of use it as like a curtain. So it gives you a little bit of privacy when you're sharing a room with, 15 other people.
Right.
Yeah. That was like a unexpected like thing I found out the first trip, because I had some wide-ish scarf that I took with me on my first trip, and I just had the idea because I tried to book hostels that had curtains, but you can't always find those.
Yeah, they don't always exist.
I mean, we're going to talk more about it with one of the places we stayed, but it's just like in a hostel environment, you get so much privacy just with that tiny little curtain. So it's just using a scarf for that's a really good tip.
And it was also just good for me because scarves are not something living in Florida I really had a bunch of. And it was chilly on a lot of those days. So it was nice to have a scarf to wrap around too. So that was a bonus.
Right. Actually used it.
Mm-hmm. And then I know I bought I bought ankle boots, which were super comfortable. And I've actually worn them on all my trips now. And I still have them. So that was a good purchase. They were like $30 Amazon ankle boots. We bought like neck pillows, little travel sets with like the mask and the earplugs. Travel towels are a big thing.
We packed the inflatable neck pillows as a tip for other people as well with backpack traveling, because you can like roll it up small and either clip it outside your bag or just throw it inside.
Yeah, I think ours actually came with a little carabiner, so you could clip it to the outside, so it's not anything you have to like try to make room for. It's just an extra thing on your backpack.
That's clever. I didn't even know they made those.
Travel cubes, but not just like
yes.
Yeah, not normal travel cubes. If you're traveling with a compression ones, that made a huge difference. Yes. Just being able to like really squeeze all that shit in there.
What are these compression cubes you speak of?
So they're little packing cubes. So I think mine came with 4 different sizes, and it even says like dresses, shirts, bottoms, like on the outside. You don't have to obviously separate it by that. But
I see.
so you fill it, and then there's 2 zippers. So by the time you zip both zippers, it kind of like flattens it.
I see.
So it takes up less room.
Sweet. Very cool.
Yeah. I only use 2 in my backpack, just like the
Yeah.
medium. I didn't use the large. I used the medium size and then the tiny size for like
Same. And then my
socks
big
and underwear.
items, I just like rolled and put in the bottom of the backpack.
Yeah. We utilized like every strap we could, because like I have an outside strap on my backpack, and that's where I would like throw my scarf, and any outside pockets is where, you know, you put your flip-flops for the hostel and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's it for like packing and stuff, right?
Yeah. So then it was just the countdown to go. We used, because it was me, Dakota, and our friend Jessica. So it was 3 of us. So we used Google Docs to plan, which is very convenient because you can all go in and edit and add like live.
I just wanted to say, Jessica, I told Jessica we were going to be on this, and she was jealous, but she's working right now, so she can't. But I didn't even know her that long. And then I was talking about the trip, and she's just so interested in going. And I was like, go, do it, buy the ticket. And she just bought it. And we were at work when she did. And I just like walked away and came back, and she was just had her like head in her hands and was just shaking her head. Like, I just bought the ticket. Like, she couldn't believe she just did it.
Yeah, on a whim.
It was so cute.
And what's crazy too is she bought it to copy us to like go with us, but then she actually stayed and went on her own to like Amsterdam and everything after we left. So she not only went in like
go big or go home, baby.
Long term. Yeah.
That's cute.
So looking at Ireland, we were trying to figure out where to go, and I feel like we really did not get to touch on a lot of spots. Like, it's a big place and it's very spread out. It takes a while to get from point A to point B. But in looking at that, it was either getting a rental car or having to do like tour buses and stuff. But then I feel like you're stuck on their time and you're limited to what you can do. And Dakota's boss, being from Ireland, actually hooked us up before we went with a free Tullamore Dew Distillery tour, Jameson tour, and Guinness tour. So we wanted to make sure we fit all that in. And Jameson and Guinness are in Dublin, so that's easy to get to. But Tullamore is it's in Tullamore, Ireland, and that's kind of halfway between Dublin and Galway. So knowing that, we decided to do a rental car. It was just it made more sense financially and to get around.
It definitely makes sense if you're going with more than like 2 people, for sure.
Yeah. And it being so much cheaper to rent manual transmissions, and I was the only one that knew how to drive manual transmissions. I was automatically the driver.
Darn.
And I know. And so you actually shift with your left hand and you're sitting on the right side. And so that was really weird to get used to.
Yeah, I bet.
But I think I did okay. There were a few maybe sketchy moments here and there, but we made it everywhere we needed to go.
I was just happy to not drive, so it was fine if I died.
Oh, they both would just pass out, and it's just like rolling green hills as you're driving, so I'm just like nodding off myself. It was awful.
I tried not to listen. I tried so hard to stay awake.
She would say that. She'd be like, I'm trying so hard, and I'd look in the back and her mouth just wide open, eyes closed, and I'm like, well,
I'm like an infant. You have to take me on a car ride to put me to sleep. It works.
So we ended up renting a car. I think the website was called Dan Dooley, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it was pricier, but you also have to pay a little bit more insurance because they don't trust us Americans coming over and driving on the other side of the road. But we ended up paying, I think it was like overall $211 for the rental car. And that was for 3 days. So it wasn't even a long time. But when you split it between 3 people, it's still cheaper than if you're going on bus tours and everything else.
Right.
Well worth it. Well worth that money for sure. Because you can't you can on a bus tour, but being able to see all of the landscape and prettiness is worth all that money.
So me and Dakota actually had a separate flight in than Jessica. So Jessica actually got there a few hours earlier than we did. So our first thing on the list was to land and find her. So we got there, we found her, we got the rental car, and we actually headed to a place called Trim Castle, which is in Trim, Ireland.
That was recommended because Jessica and I also worked with a bartender from Ireland. So he gave us some suggestions, and Trim was actually, I think, his hometown. And he told us to go check that out.
So we headed there, and it's just a really cool old ass castle that's pretty much still standing for the most part. We
Hell
paid to
yeah.
get in. And through this, I'm going to say stuff in euros and in dollars. So at the time and still now, the dollar to euro conversion, €1 is $1.16. So it's really close. It's just a little bit more dollars than euros. So I'm not going to like break down the math too much. But to get into Trim Castle, they had a student rate and we all had our student IDs on us. So it was only €3 to get in. So that was not bad at all. And it was cool. It was like, it was raining when we got there. So we were walking around. It was wet. It was kind of chilly, but it was still really cool. It's really old. A lot of history there. It was just a nice introduction to Ireland, I think. You know, you get the greenery, the rain, and then the castle. So nice little intro. And then from there, we headed to Tullamore Dew Distillery, which is in Tullamore, Ireland. And we had a tour appointment set up that Donald had did for us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That was amazing. He got in to talk to all these reps. And I think we actually had a Tullamore event at work and we talked to our rep personally.
You did. I went to that.
Yeah, it was cute. So she told us to like email her and everything. So that was amazing. And it was pretty much, it wasn't supposed to be private, I don't think, but it ended up being.
It was private, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just the three of us.
I think because it was so close to closing time, they were just like, well, it's just you guys. So
yeah. So it started with a free drink, which I don't even remember what it was because I'm not a huge whiskey fan, but Tullamore is really smooth in my opinion. So it was nice.
I like Tullamore Dew too.
And then we go on the tour. It's very educational. It's like you watch a movie and then she explains it. And then you get to see the grains they use and the yeast and all that. And then you go upstairs to this like really cute little fancy room where you can see that room is set up for maybe 30 people. And it was the three of us. So that was pretty cool. And
yeah, that's super cool.
We just got to sit there and try like all their specialty, like aged, which yeah, again, I'm not a huge whiskey fan. So it was kind of like, ugh, but
I can't drink that. But I did. I just did like a little sip of each, but it was still so cool to see everything and have them. And they were all so nice and they just talked us through everything.
So from there, Tullamore is like this really cute small town and they had like this one big street of like shops and restaurants. So we actually just kind of wandered down and we found a pub and it took me a little bit of looking up today, but the name of the pub was the Tap Bar on the main strip in Tullamore. And I think we all got food and a beer there. I don't remember exactly what food we got. Although what's funny is the most common beer we saw in Ireland on tap was Coors Light.
What?
Which is just so crazy because it's from here. It's from Golden, Colorado. And that was it was at every bar they had Coors Light on tap.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So from there, we just headed to Galway because we had a hostel booked at Galway City Hostel. And it was about an hour and a half drive from Tullamore to there. And then, I didn't say this, but the drive to Trim from the airport was almost an hour, and it was almost an hour to Tullamore. So we drove about 3.5 hours that day altogether, but that was hitting everything, so it wasn't that bad.
No, yeah, I think like what can you do like coast to coast in Ireland for how many hours? It's relatively small.
So we stayed at Galway City Hostel, and so that was my first ever hostel experience. Highly recommend it. They were great. We booked a co-ed dorm. I think it was maybe 16 people in it. It was a bigger dorm.
Yeah, and didn't see that many people at one time.
No.
At least personally, but I'm a hostel advocate because I'm a broke bitch. So it's like, I love hostels. I'll always recommend them.
The good thing about this hostel is it did have the curtains that we were talking about. So it was like privacy curtains. And then we also had a private bathroom for our room. So it's not like we were sharing it with like the whole floor or anything. It was just for those people in our room.
Nice.
And they were nice. They were clean.
How many people were in the room with you at once? Or that you had?
So I think it may have only actually been a 12-person dorm because I'm like doing the math in my head.
Like 6 bunk beds or so.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was like a lot of beds in there, but we go in during the day. We don't see anybody because everyone's already out. We set all our stuff down. We go out ourselves. We come back. Everyone's sleeping. Curtains are shut. So it's like we never ran into that many people in the room.
Right.
Yeah, you don't really see them unless you maybe see someone in the bathroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
You're in there. It's not like you're all in there looking at each other.
Now, how is the bathroom situation? So is it like stalls? Is like how's the shit? Is there showers, tubs? Like what's it like?
That one was co-ed. That was a co-ed room, so the bathroom was co-ed. the showers are like those lock stalls. It was kind of a nicer hostel.
Nice.
Yeah, you go unlock the stall, and then it has like a little. Actually, I don't remember that one specifically, but sometimes you can have like a little changing area before the shower.
I think it did have a little bench or something where you can sit your stuff while you're showering.
Yeah, and then there's separate toilet stalls, so it's not like super hot. Like you can't like hog both if you're just going to the bathroom. But it was nice. Couple mirrors.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I think this one had 2 toilet stalls and then like 4 showers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice. Like I don't think we really ever had to wait on anything.
No.
Yeah, that's nice then. But obviously everyone's, not all of them are the same.
No, definitely not.
This one had like breakfast for us. It was a good one for you guys as like a first hostel experience.
Yeah, it doesn't scare you away.
Mm-hmm. I think if you're ever going to try a hostel, try and book a nice one and then go into like the dingier ones.
Yeah. That's definitely good advice.
I'm pretty sure everyone knew about Jenny in the hostel though. Do you is this the one? Do you want to say why everyone would hear you at night?
That was the second night. So
that was night 2. I'm so sorry. We'll get back to that.
No, we can say it. So night 2, which we'll go over everything we did in just a second, but night 2, we came in pretty late because I think we were bar hopping and we were probably pretty drunk. And so everyone was asleep, or I have to at least hope that they were asleep because the lights were off, the curtains were closed. Well, this floor must have been freaking waxed that day. Okay. It was so slippery. And so I'm trying to get all my clothes so I can go in the bathroom and change. And as I'm trying to get up, I fall so hard. And when I do, I farted involuntarily so loud. And so, anyone awake in this little room was probably just like, wow. Like,
and we were definitely tipsy.
Yeah.
Because we were just giggle fest.
Oh yeah, just laughing nonstop. And then I actually ran into the bathroom and texted Jamie of all people and was like, I'm so embarrassed. So Jamie was like kind of theoretically with us on this trip.
Right.
Until I lost my phone, but we'll get there.
Oh, that's so funny.
So anyway, we check into Galway, and so our first full day in Galway, we decided to go to this place called Kylemore Abbey, because if you see a picture of it, it's really gorgeous. It's like this big old castle-looking building set like with mountains and a lake. So we drove out there. It was about an hour and a half drive from the hostel. And to get in to Kylemore Abbey, it was 24 euros for the 3 of us, but that was student pricing. So I'm not sure exactly what the full price is. We got there and it was really cool. Like it was a huge property and there were a bunch of gardens. There was a lake. You could go inside the Kylemore Abbey, which was only like 120 years old, which is why I didn't love it in the end. Cause I'm like, I think I wanted more old school history Ireland, not so new.
That might be our fault. We could have probably looked more into that.
Yeah.
Because I think we all wanted something a little older and we realized that it wasn't like it was styled in like kind of a way, which I guess is why we got drawn in with the pictures. But when you go in, you kind of realize how clean and like new looking it is. I don't know. Personally, I think that's a skip.
Yeah. But they did have like an old church on property that we went down to, and that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like a total bad day or anything. It's just I would maybe try to find something a little older if I were to go back.
Yeah, because I don't know what else is up there for anybody else traveling, unless I guess you're maybe like passing the area.
Yeah.
For us, it was kind of like a day trip away, like north of Galway. So it's just kind of like, it wasn't on the way to anything. So we could have done without that. But
yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to see it. If you happen to be driving past, I would say it's worth stopping in, but don't go out of your way to see it.
What was it called again?
Kylemore Abbey.
Kylemore Abbey.
I mean, it was definitely gorgeous, and there was a ton to see. And I think you could actually hike up the mountain a little bit, but we didn't have time or didn't want to like fully do that.
I don't think we planned for a lot.
Oh, but the drive to Kylemore Abbey was gorgeous. Like no regrets in that. Like we passed sheep and rolling hills. Like I think we stopped a few times to take pictures of the mountains. It's just like huge cliffs and water. So you kind of have like the best of both worlds up in that part of Ireland. Mm-hmm. So leaving there, we probably spent like a couple hours there, maybe, roughly. And so after there, we were like, well, let's try to find food. So we're getting a little hangry. And so we were just driving middle of nowhere, didn't know where we were, looked up a restaurant. And I remember getting to this restaurant. It was like driving up a 1-lane steep, winding. There was like a horse walking down it. Very weird. But we got to it, and it's called the Boardwalk Cafe and Bar, and it's in Clifton, Ireland, and it was super cute. We went in, and it was just one lady, like she was like cooking and serving and bartending, and she's like really overwhelmed. So we just sat at the bar, and she finally like poured us a beer, and she actually gave us like a free piece of cake because she was like, thanks for being patient, and the food was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think she was cooking. I think she had one other person.
Oh, just in the back.
Yeah, just like a specific cook, but she was the only front of house person. So
Yeah.
It was impressive. And it was really busy. I mean, for being small, so every table's full, but that was one of my favorite places to eat just because it was so pretty, like the view.
Yeah. So this place was on the water. Like you looked out, you could see sailboats, rocks, cliff edges. They had like a little dog downstairs you could play with and pet. Like it was really good service, really sweet people, and then really good food too.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's like they get a lot of tourists there because I mean we found it, so I'm sure they get other tourists that find it, but it didn't feel like a tourist destination. It felt really
not at all. It felt like a hidden local spot,
like a local restaurant.
That's the best kind of place to kind of stumble upon too.
Yeah, it was really cute.
And it was good because like after we ate, we kind of just like walked around the water and like got out of the car, got some energy out. So from there, I think we just drove back to the hostel, relaxed for a little bit to use the Wi-Fi because that's one thing is you're not really around a lot of Wi-Fi over there. And then we decided to go out and kind of explore Galway. When we went in May of 2018, and that was right after Ed Sheeran had released Galway Girl. And every corner we turned in Galway, there was a music performer playing Galway Girl or singing Galway Girl. It was all over. And they were having a huge Ed Sheeran fest, and he was actually coming to the city like 2 or 3 days after we were leaving. So it was like, we were kind of like, should we just stay around? Like, so that was cool. Like everyone was getting ready for it. Signs, banners everywhere.
That's funny.
So we really just walked around. I think we would just stop in and get a Guinness or a Smittix here and there, grab a beer. A few bars I know that we stopped in one was King's Head Bistro. And that one was really cool. It almost had like a medieval theme to it. Yeah. And I remember you could get into it from both sides of the street. So it was almost like a tunnel restaurant.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was very big though, and kind of seemed like a popular place, but we went middle of the day, just grabbed a beer.
Yeah, I can see how they probably do maybe have a little bit of that tourist drive. But yeah, we just stopped in and had one beer and left, so we weren't there for too long. So we actually walked around the city a while, and we actually crossed one of the bridges to the other side of the water, and we went into this random bar, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, but it looks like Roisin Dub, Roisin. And it was really dead when we were there, but they had a really cool like multi-level building, and they actually had outdoor seating. So we grabbed a beer in there, and they were actually setting up for live music later, and we really wanted to come back to it, but we ended up not making it. But it was a really cool like music venue, I guess you could say. Yeah,
live music and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it was really cool looking. In the outdoor area, it was really spacious, and we just sat up there for a while. The weather was nice.
Yeah, so it was kind of like relaxing, drink a beer.
That sounds awesome.
So I think then we went to dinner, and it's really funny, but we went to a pizza place. But it was like a local homemade place called the Dough Bros.
Awesome name.
I remember it being really good pizza. I remember they actually had their own beer.
The place was popping.
So we went there, and then I think we got ready to go like out, just like a little bit more officially drinking because we would probably drinking all day. Right underneath where Galway City Hostel was a place called Darcy's Bar. So I know we went in there because I think we had a free drink ticket.
Yeah, they give you like a little coupon.
Yeah, a voucher. So that was cool. It was like a cute little. That place was pretty busy too.
Yeah.
And then across the street was a place called 13th Green, and we popped in there. They had live music on, which was cool. And I know we had a Smittix. I had a Smittix in there. We went to one other bar that our friend had recommended, but I'm not sure what the name of it was. But we ended up playing. It was like this little bar, and we went and sat on the back patio and played Guess Who. It was like the old school Guess Who game.
It's my awesome.
Favorite. Like, does your person have glasses?
Yeah.
Yes. I love Guess Who.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's coming to me now. I think Shane worked there.
I think he did. I think that's why he recommended it.
Yeah, exactly. That place was
So,
small, but it was pretty busy. So
it was popping. I think that's why we had to sit outside, is because it was kind of chilly, but there was no seating inside.
and
So
I
I
know
was like,
my
well,
ass was probably complaining because I was probably cold.
yeah, always.
Not complaining about the vibe, but just like, I'm cold. I want to sit inside.
Yeah. So we got up early the next day, got some coffee, hit the road. Our main goal was getting to the Cliffs of Moher, but we found a stop along the way. And I'm not going to pronounce this right, but it was like the Dunguire Castle. So it's just like another little castle on the coast. It was only like 30 minutes outside of Galway. We didn't actually pay to go inside because I think it was like 12 euros or something. But we did get to go into the shop and we got to walk around the grounds and it was really pretty.
That was just really quick.
Yeah, it was like a quick little pit stop.
Yeah.
One and done.
And then it was like an hour drive from there to get to the Cliffs of Moher. And I checked their website today and it's €5 to get in. But basically you get there, they do have like a little museum that you can go in with a bunch of information on how the cliffs are formed, what animals live there, which it's a lot of penguins and seals and really cool stuff like that. And then you basically just walk the cliffs, and some of it you have like, a concrete barrier waist high to look out. The farther you keep walking, there's no barrier. It's just grass and then hundreds of feet drop.
Oh my gosh.
It's so weird. I did not expect that.
No,
But
there's no safety.
But we come from I don't know. I feel like in America, they must shelter us so much because I feel like anywhere you go where it's that dangerous, I can't testify for the Grand Canyons or anything. I've never been out there, but something like that, I feel like we would always have a barrier or something to
Yeah,
Right.
or like don't
people.
walk farther than this point, like something.
Yeah, somebody yelling, don't get that close or something.
But we literally sat with our legs hanging off the cliff in the spots just
it was so creepy.
Wow.
It took me like an hour, I think, to get used to being I could gradually get closer and closer. But when we first got there, I was so scared. I was like, get me as far away from the edge as possible.
I know, where you kind of like crawl just to look like lay on your belly and look like.
I think worst case scenario constantly. And I'm like, someone's going to fall.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to see someone die.
Well, and the grass is wet, because they do get a lot of rain. So it's like wet grass and then a drop. Like
No.
the chance of slipping and falling are so high.
And people were just like zooming by me. And I'm like, I could be a psycho. I could just push you. And you just run. And you're just like walking in front of me right now.
And there were kids running around. Like,
Oh,
I don't think I could
insane.
take a child there. I would be way too
my kids,
nervous.
well,
Right.
I don't have any, but my future kids can go when they're adults.
Exactly. And I'll still leash them.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
I didn't expect also that museum thing. I didn't know that was going to be there. It was really nice. Oh, what were those birds?
The puffins?
Puffins. I wanted to see a puffin so bad.
I know. They said they're all down there, but you kind of have to take a boat tour and go down to the
Yeah.
bottom of them.
There was like
You're
some
so
little-
high up.
Yeah.
Puffins.
I did not know puffins were like native over in that area. So whenever I saw them in the museum, I was so mad. I was like, I want to see one right now.
Right, meow.
Why are they so cute?
So that was really fun. You have to go. If you go to Ireland, you have to go to Cliffs of Moher. Absolutely, hands down. Yeah.
Oh, and inside the museum, there's also like a cafeteria, so you can go in there and eat. So there's also people are.
I think we
spread
did get
everywhere.
food.
Yeah, we got like a snack. I think I got like a croissant or something.
Yeah, something small. Because after we left there, the first thing we did was look up food, and we found food. It was like a 15-minute drive to this town. I'm not going to pronounce this right, but La Hinch is what it looks like. Called Tasty Station. And I don't remember what we got. I think I got pasta or something.
I think, yeah, it was all like pasta there.
But it was really good. Like nice little lunch spot.
It was a cute town. I just remember I didn't like it too much because it was very like cheese and cream heavy, and that's not my jam. So I like only had a little bit of it, but the place was really cute. Service was nice. Town was cute.
It seemed almost like a little family operated place.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually just kind of walked along the shore in that town because it was really pretty green grass, the shore, the rocks. There were sheep and cows and horses everywhere. So then I had wanted really badly to go to this place called the Rock of Cashell, and it was like a 2-hour drive from where we were at lunch. And they were not supposed to close till like 4:30, and I'm pretty sure we got there around 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
And they were closed. They were locked up. There was no one there. And so the Rock of Cashell is like this huge, I'm assuming like castle and probably abbey and everything, like, but it's really old and ancient. So it was a really bummer that it was closed when we got there, but we decided to just kind of walk around it and like peep in. Like there were like little windows throughout that you could kind of peek in. And there was actually a group of guys there at the same time we were, and they were doing the same thing we were, which was just kind of like you kind of had to climb around, which probably isn't the most
Yeah.
difficult thing.
For as a visual, it's like the castle, whatever you want to call it, tower, whatever the thing's called, and then a stone wall around the like yard or whatever. So it's not even like we're looking inside the building. We're just looking like into the courtyard.
Oh, and yeah, you could see like a grave, like a tombstone. And
yeah. And then, but you also, these little holes in the stone walls are like pretty high up. So like half of them we couldn't see into, and others we were like trying to peek. And the whole thing is on top of this little like hill.
yeah.
And so this like climbing around or walking around the building's not easy as it sounds. We're like trying to like not slide down this whole thing. There's sheep
traversing
everywhere.
over rocks.
Yeah.
Sheep poop. There were a ton of sheep.
Yeah, lots
Oh
and
my
lots
God.
of sheep.
But it was still kind of cool to walk around and see. I'm still super mad that they were not open.
I'm mad
But-
it was closed, yeah, but it was kind of fun to just like try and get around this whole thing and look
explore.
inside.
And we weren't the only group. Like there was this group of guys trying to do the exact same thing we were doing.
But I remember you guys trying to talk to those foreign guys. And like they were just like nodding like yes, yeah. I think they're like German or something. And then they're like trying so hard to talk to them. They're like, yeah.
There was a language barrier.
Yeah, just a little one.
It was about an hour drive to Kilkenny. And let's do a little backstory on Kilkenny real quick. When I was planning this trip, I think I confused it with Killarney, which is known for having like a crazy natural park, like an outside, like hiking, everything. So that's my reason for wanting to go there. Well, instead we booked Kilkenny. Well, her boss at the time gave us a lot of shit for going to Kilkenny because he's like, there's nothing there. It's boring. It's small town. You're not going to have any fun. So driving into Kilkenny, first of all, on the radio, we had like the Irish radio on, and they were talking about clubbing in Kilkenny.
Yeah.
What is it?
No, okay. So there's like a saying in Ireland, like good crack, or yeah, like that's the crack, or like anything like that. So, you know, I don't know, we kind of had a sense it wasn't crack, but like that.
But still, they were like, we're going to have some great crack at the club tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
So that's like all we would hear. And
that's what we were hearing. And we were just like, what are we getting into? And then finally we realized crack is just like their way of saying like good time, good fun.
Yeah. Or like, that's good. That's fun.
Yeah.
But like another reason we chose Kilkenny though is like me and Jess have heard about Kilkenny because we serve like this beer at our job called Kilkenny. So we didn't know anything about the town, but we were like, I've heard that word before.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at a map, it's like kind of just like a in route to Dublin. So
yeah, it was like a good middle point to stop at.
You see all these names of towns and we see Kilkenny. We're like, I've heard of that. So that's pretty much how that goes.
Yeah.
Just recognize.
But yeah, Donald's just like, oh, you guys are not gonna have any fun there. That's so boring. We're like, well, I mean, whatever. It's just kind of like a stopping point on our way. So it's not a big deal.
It was like a really basic hostel that we booked for that night, but it was really cheap, I think, too.
It was like the only one.
Yeah, there was like two, I think, and the other one was like booked. So it was like our only option. So it was like the Kilkenny Tourist Hostel. So we get to this hostel, and our room was on the very top floor. I think it was like 3 or 4 stories. So it was a lot of stairs.
No elevator.
No elevator.
It was too much.
It was basically like an old house that they had turned into a hostel. And so we get up, we throw our bags on our bunks, and then we go out and just kind of explore. We ate dinner at an Italian restaurant called La Rivista, and it was
Literally
pretty
right
fancy.
across the street. Yeah.
So like leaving our hostel, if you look across the street, there's literally like 6 or 7 pubs back to back to back next door to each other. So after we had dinner, we decided let's go in the first one. And the crazy part is like right next to our hostel is a Smithwick's museum, because it's where the Smithwick's beer used to be brewed. But I think it actually got taken over by Guinness, so they actually make it in Dublin now. So they no longer make it there. But that first bar we went to, the Smithwick's on tap, was so delicious.
The best I've ever had.
So good. And I think it's just probably because of that museum. I'm sure people probably go to the museum and then go order one. So they probably go through it. It's probably just really fresh.
I don't know what it was. Like, we serve Smithwick's here at my job, and I've had it at other places in Ireland, but that was
So
the
good.
best, so smooth, most delicious Smithwick. So if you are in Kilkenny, only drink Smithwick's because it is delicious.
Yes. So good. And that's probably where our night went. I wouldn't say wrong because it was a great night overall.
Oh,
But
best night.
because that beer was so good, I think we downed a few just right off the bat because it was tasty and it went down really easily.
And side note, we really got to witness the drinking age difference because
Yes.
you can drink at 18 there. And we looked over at this table, and these children looked so young.
Babies drinking beer.
And we were like, oh, where are your parents? You're not allowed to be in here. And
Who
then,
ID'd these people? Like,
and we were like, oh shit, they can drink at 18.
it's legal.
That's insane.
Yeah. That was a moment just looking over and being like, I feel really old right now drinking next to a
Yeah.
bunch of babies, but
Yeah.
Sophisticated.
yeah. So we left the first one and we went, I think we hit 2 back to back that were kind of non-eventful. We just had a beer and then left and went to the
Mhm.
next. And then we get to this one on the end. I don't even know the name of it. But we get in there and instantly make friends with this big group of middle-aged Irishmen.
This is the quintessential like dream I have for being in Ireland, is just being like guided and taken under the wing of these like middle-aged men who are not hitting on you. Like
Yeah, they were
No.
flirty, but it was more of a fun, we know that there's nothing going on here.
Yeah, like it was like they'll make jokes or like flirt, like, oh, you guys are so cute or whatever, but like
Yeah.
in the same sentence they'll talk about their wives back home, like,
Yeah,
oh, like,
and we didn't feel
blah, blah.
unsafe with them whatsoever.
they were so much fun, just shooting the shit,
Yeah.
like making fun of each other, taking us under their wing. It was so much fun.
So I don't even know why, but I went inside and sat at the bar by myself for a little bit, and I started talking to the guy at the bar. He actually owned the bar, and he was friends with our group of middle-aged men. And so I got the hots for him instantly, but it didn't go anywhere. Owners of bars, it happened.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time talking to him, and like his friends like, oh, that's my buddy, I'm gonna hook it up. So, but the bars closed pretty early on that strip. I want to say maybe 11 is when they were closing.
It was really, yeah, it was,
It was early.
Yeah, 11 or 12, something like that, yeah.
So they said, we'll take you to the places that stay open until 2. It's like their kind of version of a club, but it's still just a pub restaurant. But they actually like open up a dance floor later at night.
Yeah.
So they were like, we'll take you. And like the guy was supposed to come join us, but he never showed. But so we were hanging out with this big group of guys. We go to this like club, and it was actually a ton of fun. We're dancing,
Having a great time, yeah.
having a great time, getting to know these locals. And then they closed at 2 a.m. So we had been drinking pretty regularly all
Yeah.
night.
Probably like
We're pretty
9 or
sloshed.
something, yeah.
We were having a good time. We were enjoying Ireland, the way you're supposed to.
Well, okay, so the pub closed. Those guys that we were with were still like respectful till the end. Like they
And they walked us like halfway back to the hostel.
yeah, and then they just split up. No expectations. They're just like, all right,
Yeah.
well, you guys have like
They
a
like
great
gave us
rest
a
of your-
hug, good night.
Yeah, have a great rest of your trip. This was fun. Bye. And
Yeah.
it was amazing. And then
I was bummed because obviously my new love interest did not show up at that place. So I was bummed, and we were drunk. So literally walking down the street at 2:30 in the morning, there's no one out. This random drunk guy comes walking down, and Dakota swoops in like the best wing woman I've ever seen. She literally hooks his arm, is like, how you doing? And then hooks his arm to my arm. Like
Oh, it
literally
was
within
so
seconds.
smooth.
So smooth. And he was a cute guy. He was like he was an Irishman, but he lived in Germany. He was there on like a bachelor party.
he was young. Like he
Tall,
was cute.
cute.
Mhm.
So I'm walking with him, talking to him, getting to know him. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And then he pulls me into the stairwell. This is what not to do when traveling. This
We
could
all
have
have
gone
that
a lot
moment.
worse. Yes.
We all have that moment. Mine was in Paris. Like it's fine.
Yes. So he takes me down this little hallway, and I assumed that they were right behind us. And I think they were trying to give us a little bit of space.
I'll tell that side.
So he takes me through this like little stairwell into a building, into a door, up some stairs, into an apartment. And it was like just me and him for a while. So we were just kind of talking and like making out, like nothing crazy. But then more of his friends started showing back up, and they were like they definitely brought the party home from whatever club they were at because they were like drinking and partying. It was like a little house party in this apartment. So we decided to walk out and see what everyone's doing. And we walk out into this living room, and all at this whole time, I'm like, man, they're probably so worried about me. But also I was drunk and didn't care. So I walk out in the living room, and Jessica and Dakota are in the living room partying with this group of people. And I'm just like, how the hell, what, how did you find me? Like,
Okay. So, I mean, in my mind,
it's pretty amazing.
From the moment this happened, is just like Jenny's like, I want to flirt with the boy. Like, where's all the boys? Because this street was dead. And I turn around, happen to find this tall, cute boy that's our age,
and he's by himself too, which is so
by
weird.
himself. I'm like, dude, you're gonna get. I'm your predator right now. I was just like, because Jess and I weren't single, so we weren't trying to flirt with anybody. So it was perfect that we found this one random dude. And I was like, oh, Jenny, here you go. So after they start walking arm in arm, I think we found out his name. I'm going to say Nick. I got his name like right at the beginning. I was like, oh, hi, what's your name? And so we have Nick. And so they're walking arm in arm. And
I think it was
Jess
Nick,
are like,
actually.
Yeah. So Jess and I are just like, we're like pushing each other back, like, no, hold on, give him some space. And they go around this tiny little bend in the road. So we're like, okay, they went around the bend. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now start walking. So we walk, turn around this tiny little bend in the road, and they're nowhere to be seen. So we're like drunk, but we're like acting so dramatic. We're like, oh my God, where are they? Oh my God. So we're like running up and down the road. Jess is like climbing some fence into some courtyard to try and find her. I run down the road to the like split to like the end of the road where it goes left or right. And I'm like putting my face up against this like late night pizza place, like looking inside, like, are they in here? And then we meet back up, and we passed this little alley. And at the beginning I was like, they could have turned, like, this might be the only place they would have been able to go, but it looks like a residential, like you go down the alley.
It's very residential.
Yeah, it's like doors to houses or apartments. So I was like, no, because it's really quiet. Like, we would have seen something. So that's when we started running down the road, and then we turned back. We're like, well, let's just try down here. And that's when we heard some like some guys talking on like a balcony
on like the third floor.
Yeah. So Jessica scales this like brick wall and is leaning over and saying like, hey, is there a guy named Nick up there? And they're just all like, yeah. So they were like, okay, is he with a girl? And so they say yes. And then they're like, that's our friend. Can you please let us in? So they're like, yeah, sure. So they come running down the stairs, and 2 guys open the door, and one like lets me in, and the other one is like creepily like blocking Jessica from going inside. And I run past them and I start going up with the other guy so he can let me in. And then I'm like, fuck, like, let me go get Jessica, because I'm just realized I left her with some creepy dudes. So I go back, grab her, we go upstairs, and we're like, where are they? They're off in like a side room talking. So we just like peek around the corner and we see them. They don't see us, but we see them, and we're like, okay, we're not gonna interrupt though. So like, we're like, okay, yeah. So we're like, all right, she's safe. Someone get us a drink. So the guys are like really hospitable. They take us on the balcony. They tell us like who's getting married and all this stuff. And then we kind of meet everybody. Then we sit in the living room, and that's when Jenny finds us.
I just remember I walked out and I was just like, how the fuck did they get here? Like,
we are good. I'm a good wingman. Jess is a good finder. So
it really was. They were the bomb.com for sure.
That was a great, great night. I don't care. It was the best.
It was a good story. However,
I
lost my phone somehow. Like, I remember I had it when we got there because I was trying to hook up to the Wi-Fi in the place, but then I couldn't find it. We went over the next morning too, and like the guys all tried to help us find it, and like it was not in this little apartment. So I don't know if maybe someone that came to the party took it.
And it was like 4 a.m, and we eventually just had to like drag her out of there because I was like, I don't ever stay out that late, and it was 4 a.m, and we were exhausted. So we're like, we need to go. We didn't know that she didn't have her phone on her, and then she told us the next day, and we tried to go find it, but
we went back, and that apartment was so gross because it was like beer everywhere, like
trash from the
everywhere.
Party. Disgusting.
So gross. But no regrets. The guy was a sweetheart. His friends were douchebags, but cool.
Okay, there was like one that was really a douchebag. The rest were like pretty chill.
Yeah, the one large dude.
Yeah, the large
He was
dude.
a big ass dude. And he was
And
a
we went-
douchebag.
When we went there in the morning, he was just like walking around in his underwear. We're
Yeah,
just
and he's like, "You gonna give him a kiss goodbye?" And I was like, "Don't talk to me."
Oh my god.
We were so hungover too, though, like insanely
got-
hungover.
Like I said,
Right.
we left at like 4 a.m, and I think we woke up at 8.
Yeah.
It
Barely
was-
no sleep.
Yeah, and we were supposed to go to a Jameson tour and Guinness tour. We had them like set that morning in Dublin, and we canceled both of them because we were like, no,
Yeah, we got those free tours from my boss, and we
didn't
couldn't
even make
do 'em.
it.
He didn't mind though. He said like, don't feel obligated just because I set you up with these tours that you have to go to them.
We really
I just
wanted
wanna-
to. It's just
yeah.
we had a little bit too much Guinness and Smittix the night before.
Oh,
So
too much.
Right.
so even though we missed our tours, we headed to Dublin. After editing, this episode was a little bit too long, so we're just splitting it up into 2 parts. So that's it for part 1, and just keep an eye out for part 2. Thanks. Bye.